do make drugs legal, for sure, people are going to die.
People are already dying, bro. What are you talking about? For sure people are going to die. For sure people are dying right now. What the fuck is going on, YouTube? It's Ashcon, aka Dropped Out Beats, back again with another Addiction Neuroscientist Reacts video. For those just tuning into the channel, I'm a trained addiction neuroscientist and hip-hop producer, and this is a part of a series where I react to a variety of musicians, entertainers. In this case, we have a fighter talking about their experience with drugs, drug use, whether it be firsthand, secondhand, and their opinion on our current state of drugs in this world. Today, we're going to be reacting to Sean O'Malley, who is the current UFC bantamweight champion. Shout out to Sean O'Malley. If you ever want to, do some high rollers, Sean, I'm a purple belt myself, so let's get at it. Friendly competition, you'll beat my ass. It's all good. I'll take my taps. It's all cool. You know what I'm saying? I just want to roll for fun. You know what I'm saying? Let's get to it. But yeah, today we're going to be looking at Sean O'Malley on the Joe Rogan podcast, talking about the idea of, should we legalize all drugs? That kind of sounds crazy if you ask me, and so if you agree that sounds crazy, let me know in the comments below. Before you actually hear my opinion, I'm actually kind of misleading you because it sounds crazy, but is it actually crazy? Let me throw my headphones on, take my big, ugly head off the screen. We'll get to it. Please hit the like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We're trying to get the numbers up here. You know what I'm talking about. That being said, let's get into the controversy.
I'm not a bad guy.
Winchester or something. I'm just selling shit.
Do you think if you make drugs legal, there'll be less people dying, like from fentanyl, but there's more addicts? Or do you think it's crazy how all these people are dying? It's not. They're risking it, knowing that just a little bit of fentanyl could be in there. Yeah. But if it's legal and it's regulated, then you get whatever you're trying to get. There's no fentanyl in it. You know that. Are you going to have people more addicted because it's easier accessible but less deaths? Or do you think that it's going to benefit just like less deaths and, less crime? It's hard to say.
I hate to make this quote again, but Thomas Sowell had this thing: there's no solutions, there's just compromises.
Ooh, wow, that's fucking
great saying.
Accurate.
And in these...
I think that is a good analogy for this drug situation that we have going on in the world right now. I think too many people moralize drug use and say, oh, you're a bad person for using drugs. Meanwhile, what are they doing? They're drinking a beer, they're smoking a cigarette, they're drinking a coffee, aka they're using drugs while they're judging you for using whatever drug that you like that happens to be illegal. And so I think Sean O'Malley is actually 100% correct. That is exactly what we need to do in this country to combat the drug problem. We need to have what harm reductionists call a safe supply of drugs. This means that you can go into, let's say, a pharmacy. You can buy some heroin, for instance, that is made by a pharmacist, and it would be 100% heroin. You know that there's absolutely no fentanyl in it. You know that, let's say, I don't know what a typical dose of heroin is, so let's say you take X mgs. You know that if you take X mgs, that you'll get, mgs being milligrams, that you'll get, the appropriate high that you like. You go home, you take your dose. You sit on the couch, you chill, you're safe, you're good to go, no issues. You watch TV, have a good sleep that night. Whatever it is, you know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal, similar to how you having a couple of beers isn't that big of a deal. I'm not saying that heroin isn't addictive. Of course heroin is addictive, just like alcohol is addictive. But the idea that, all the illegal drugs are incredibly dangerous is... that idea is manipulated because they're illegal, right? The drugs that are illegal are more dangerous because they're illegal and they have shit like fentanyl in them. But your alcohol just has alcohol in it. Anyway, let's get back into the video and see what else they have to say.
These complex situations like drugs, if you do make drugs legal, for sure, people are going to die. But for sure, people are going to get hooked on them that wouldn't have tried them before because now they.
Okay, I gotta pause already because Joe's like, for sure people are gonna die. People are already fucking dying, bro. What are you talking about? For sure people are gonna die. For sure people are dying right now. As I'm talking, as you're watching this video, people are dying from drug overdoses. What are we talking about? People are gonna die. I mean, I don't understand. That doesn't seem like a viable response to the idea of providing a safe supply of drugs that people are going to die. People are already dying. It's already a serious issue to the point that we're calling it the opioid epidemic. So to say that people are going to die, no, we're actually most likely going to save lives. Now, the idea that more people are going to be addicted, I don't know that this is the case. I mean, if you've watched some of my other videos, you know that likability is a huge issue when it comes to developing an addiction to a drug. And so if you take heroin, for instance, and you don't like that feeling, you are most likely not going to get an addiction to that drug. If you are prescribed a painkiller for medical purposes because you got in a car accident and broke every bone in your body, then you're most likely going to develop an opioid dependency, but that is not the same thing as an opioid addiction, and a dependency can turn into an addiction. But again, just you trying a drug one time is not going to get you hooked on that drug, whether it be fentanyl, heroin, methamphetamine, it doesn't matter. That's not the way this works, you know. Go back to the Mike the Situation video. So, yes, people might try the drugs, but most likely they will be safer using the drugs. So you could also talk to the pharmacist about what is the smallest dose that you should take, right? Like the smallest minimum effective dose for you to get the desired effects. So I think this is kind of nonsense from Joe, and you know, Joe's got a podcast to run, so he's got a lot of talking to do.
They have easy access, and I think it'll take a while until it gets to the kind of same baseline of people who abuse or don't abuse things. And maybe because the stigma and like the you know, the mystery of it all, because it's illegal, will go away if you know what it is and that it's damaging.
Right.
And maybe they could stop more people from having overdoses, and with either counseling or medication like Narcan, that stuff that they give people when they do have an overdose, if they have that more readily available, if they have detox clinics, they take some of the money from legal sales and they create these detox clinics, and these clinics, along with like counseling, help people that have drug addictions.
I actually think that's a pretty good idea from Joe. I mean, Joe has kind of become someone I'm not super fond of just because he talks too much. I'll leave it at that. But that's not a terrible idea. I mean, if we're going to have a safe supply, then we need to have some way to deal with the backlash of drug use. I mean, you don't see, you know, we have issues with alcohol, right? And so we should have some of that money go help treat people with an alcohol use disorder. And I think this is actually a pretty good idea from Joe, that, you know, the sales of the drugs from our safe supply at our pharmacies or what have you, that money could then go back to help treat anyone who develops a dependency or an addiction. And so, yeah, I think that's actually a pretty good idea from Joe Rogan. We'll clap that up. Let's see what else they have to say.
But it's like, who gets to decide what you can and cannot do with your body? If you want to like give that up to the state, well, they're not good at managing anything. Why would they be good at managing your consciousness, managing your choices, what you can and can't do with your body? A lot of them have terrible bodies. They don't even know. They don't even know. They don't know what they. You know, you can't tell people they can't take peptides, or you can't tell people they can't smoke weed. You don't even know what those things do.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't smoke weed, and you were saying you got to stop smoking weed, like you're not qualified to make that statement. You don't even know how good it is. You don't know what the benefits it serves.
Yeah. I think less crime too.
I bet probably overall less crime eventually.
Yeah, eventually.
But there's going to be some chaotic moments. That's like what I said, like some people are going to die. But I think like overwhelmingly, in the long run, less people will die. Because if you know what you're getting, if you're trying to get ecstasy and someone gives you fentanyl and you die, that is fucked up.
So fucked up.
But if you want to get ecstasy and
Claude,
you get
that's
ecstasy
fucked
every
up.
time of your life, like that's a different thing. You know, like we try to pretend that people don't enjoy themselves when they're on ecstasy is not helping anything.
Yeah.
You're not helping anybody.
Yeah.
I'm going to apply that too, because, I mean, you get on some ecstasy, man, you're going to be turning on, tuning in, and
Drop out.
you know what I'm saying? You're probably going to have a good time. It's called ecstasy for a reason. But yeah, I think this was a pretty good clip from Joe and Sean O'Malley. We'll stop it there because you don't want to let Joe just keep talking too much. You know what I'm talking about? But I think Sean's point is good. He says, you know, you would have less crime, and I think that's obvious just by the definition of if we say that using all of these drugs, if you don't have a prescription to use these drugs, it's a crime. By definition of saying that you're allowed to recreationally use those drugs, we decrease the crime rate because of the definition, right? If that doesn't make sense to you, I don't know what to do here. I mean, you may need to go to a logic class because, like, if X is illegal, then we make X legal, and people do X, there's no crime, right? Like, before it was crime, now it's not crime. By definition, we have less crime. It's not that difficult to understand. If you go back and listen to my Jelly Roll video, I discussed the idea of, do I think drug dealers are criminals? And quite frankly, I think the idea of calling drug dealers criminals or not it's a stupid premise, because we have alcohol companies that are drug dealers, we have caffeine companies that are drug dealers, we have pharmaceutical companies that are drug dealers. But for some reason, we don't have the same stigma towards thinking of them as drug dealers. But meanwhile, we think of the guy that's selling ecstasy down the street as being this, nefarious drug dealer. And so I think, you know, providing a safe supply, somehow legalizing recreational drugs in this way would help cut back from that, you know, nonsensical propaganda ideas that, you know, drug dealers are these terrible people. I think there is something to be said for someone who puts fentanyl in ecstasy. If you put fentanyl in my ecstasy, we're going to have a fucking problem. You know what I'm saying? Because people need to be buying the drug that they are seeking. They don't need to be buying cut drugs. That is the reason we have a fucking problem of people dying from illegal drugs in this country. The drugs themselves are actually not that dangerous, and that's something that we're going to expand on this channel. You know, if you buy ecstasy and you know it's ecstasy and you take that ecstasy at, you know, the supplied safe dose, you're most likely going to be fine. You know, the crazy stuff isn't going to happen to you. You know, you're not going to become addicted. I mean, these are things that Dare has been talking about for years in his lies, and, you know, we need to fucking cut Dare off. We need to have much better drug education. And so, with that being said, in the comments, I hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit that like for me. Hit that subscribe. We're trying to get these numbers up, y'all. We're trying to get these numbers up. I really appreciate you guys turning on, tuning in, and dropping out. You know what I'm talking about. I hope to see you back for the next video on Thursday. Sean O'Malley, let's get some rolls in, bro. I hope you train for the next camp. You know what I'm talking about. I don't know that you need my help, but I'd love to come out there and roll. You know what I'm talking about. If you see this, you got good ideas on drugs. You know what I'm saying? You in the right direction. So, yeah, hit the like, subscribe. I appreciate all you beautiful degenerates. Peace out.